It all started that day when Kumamori's first kiss got stolen by Tajima Kyuhei, making her crave a bit of romance in her life. Now it's spring of her second year in high school, and Kumamori suddenly spots a familiar name on the class list. Curious, she quickly turns to her friend Ayano and asks if she knows this new guy. Ayano nods, saying he went to the same middle school as her. As they head to class, Ayano teases her, wondering if something could happen between Kumamori and Tajima. But with a shy smile, Kumamori admits that the name matches the boy who stole her first kiss back in kindergarten. That moment has always been special to her, and now her destiny radar is buzzing. Could it really be him? Before Ayano can chime in, Kumamori bolts off to find out for herself. Kumamori eagerly searches for her class, her mind wandering a bit. As she's walking, a boy steps out of the classroom, and she catches sight of him, hoping it's that Tajima. She freezes for a second, staring at him while the boy, looking kind of grumpy, seems to wonder if he accidentally bumped into her. Then, out of nowhere, his friend calls his name from behind Tajima. Kumamori's eyes go wide, and without thinking, she grabs the sleeve of his shirt, stopping him in his tracks as he looks totally confused. Without thinking twice, Kumamori straight up asks if he's Tajima Kyuhei, the one who stole her first kiss. Tajima, obviously annoyed, frowns while his friend looks way too amused by the whole thing. His other friends start teasing him, and Kumamori starts feeling a bit guilty, like she just exposed some secret. But she pushes through and mentions that she went to Hachimitsu kindergarten. Tajima looks even more irritated and tells her to stop making a big deal out of a kiss, which completely throws Kumamori off. Then he adds that she's got the wrong guy since he went to a day school. Before walking away, he shrugs and says a kiss from back, then doesn't even count anyway, leaving Kumamori totally speechless. As they walk off, one of Tajima's friends apologizes for his behavior. Suddenly, Kumamori's precious childhood memory shatters. She can't believe what Tajima just said, even though she realizes it was her fault for jumping to conclusions. Ayano finally catches up to her and tells her that Tajima's always been like that, distant and dry, ever since middle school. Back in class, Kumamori sits behind Tajima, still annoyed by what he said. She's convinced she could never get along with someone who clearly doesn't care about love. Then their eyes meet, and even with his irritated look, Tajima somehow manages to turn a simple glance into an awkward moment. But despite that, Kumamori can't stop herself from staring at him from behind. During lunch break, Kumamori sees Tajima laughing with his friends through the classroom window. She wonders if he would laugh like that in front of someone he actually likes. But suddenly, one of Tajima's friends catches her staring, and when Tajima glances her way, his face immediately goes cold again. Later, when Kumamori goes looking for Haruto in the classroom, she only finds Tajima there. She thinks about backing out before getting another glare from him, but to her surprise, Tajima offers to hand the paperwork to Haruto for her. Kumamori is caught off guard, but then Tajima casually suggests she give it to Haruto directly, since his desk is such a mess. Kumamori can't believe Tajima's actually talking this much to her. He then admits it's easier to talk when his friends aren't around to tease him. That makes Kumamori realize he's okay with chatting when it's just the two of them. He adds, as long as it's not about something silly. Kumamori feels a bit excited, wondering if maybe Tajima isn't as cold as he seems. During the next break, Kumamori heads to the rooftop and finds Haruto and his friends hanging out, including Tajima. One of Tajima's friends teases him, saying Kumamori's coming, but when she looks at Tajima, he's got that cold expression again. Kumamori hands the paperwork to Haruto, making sure to mention it's not for Tajima, but for the sports festival committee executives. Haruto looks a little surprised, remembering how they both became executives after losing rock, paper, scissors. Without saying much more, Kumamori leaves and one of Tajima's friends jokes that she's already gotten tired of Tajima. As she glances back though, Tajima's just focused on his phone, not saying a word. As Kumamori walks down the stairs, she can't help but feel a little happy, almost like she and Tajima are in some kind of secret office romance. But her daydream is cut short when she hears Tajima calling her from behind. Startled, she turns around to find him complaining about her constantly glancing at him, saying it's annoying. Kumamori quickly apologizes, but her face is still kind of glowing. She's secretly touched that Tajima even remembered her name. Tajima, on the other hand, thinks she's making fun of him, but she insists she's not. It's a new and exciting feeling for Kumamori. Back in class, Haruto asks if Kumamori actually likes Tajima, which flusters her and she quickly denies it. But Haruto points out that he's seen her talking to Tajima when he's alone. He then mentions that it's pretty rare for a girl to catch Tajima's attention and suggests something that would definitely make Tajima happy. Later, they arrive at a burger shop where Tajima works. He greets them with his usual annoyed expression, making Kumamori complain to Haruto that his idea was a bust. Haruto then casually mentions to Tajima that he and Kumamori are working on the sports festival. After a big sigh, Tajima switches to work mode and recommends a menu item to Kumamori, even throwing in a friend discount. Kumamori wonders if they're officially friends now, enough to get an answer to that silly question in her head. Kumamori asks Haruto what kind of girls Tajima likes, but Haruto's already fallen asleep. Suddenly, Tajima's voice from behind startles her. He suggests she move to another seat since he's about to help her out. Kumamori can't help but feel warm inside whenever Tajima treats her kindly. As they work together, Kumamori tells Tajima that he's actually not as dry as she thought. She explains that when she found out he had the same name as the boy who stole her first kiss, she might have overreacted, since that memory is the most romantic one she has. Tajima listens, but they end up in a heated discussion about what counts as romantic. Kumamori gets a bit frustrated, but when she sees Tajima smile softly, she blushes, thinking even the god of romance would be won over by that. She then boldly declares that someday Tajima will have his own ultra-passionate moment, even if he doesn't believe in fate, or stuff like that. After saying that, Kumamori realizes she might have gone a bit overboard. She quickly backpedals, saying that since girls are often swayed by things like fate, maybe if guys believed in it too, they'd be happier. Tajima then says he needs to get back to work and sets something down on the table. Kumamori is surprised to see a teru bozu that Tajima made. When Tajima suddenly wishes her good luck with the sports festival, Kumamori's face lights up with a big, happy blush. On the day of the sports festival, Kumamori is busy getting things ready when Tajima calls her from behind. He tells her that Haruto has been looking for her, but since her phone is dead, she asks Tajima to let Haruto know for her because she's in a hurry. Noticing that Kumamori's backstring is untied, Tajima steps in to help her tie it. Kumamori blushes in surprise at his gesture. Just then, Haruto shows up, telling her it's her turn for the scavenger hunt, so she quickly asks Tajima if she can leave. Haruto even jokes that it looks like she's flirting with Tajima. Kumamori denies it, but she can't help but smile when she thinks back to the moment with Tajima. It seems like Tajima's teru bozu is making the sports festival even more exciting. Now it's Kumamori's turn for the scavenger hunt, and the task she draws is to find someone she likes. She can't believe she got that one. Her friends ask her what she's looking for, and when she turns around, she sees Tajima standing there, drinking and looking back at her. Figuring Tajima would hate being laughed at, she tells her friends she needs to find a guy, planning to explain later. Just as she's about to call Haruto, Tajima rushes over, grabs the sash from Kumamori's hand, and says he'll be the one to help. As Tajima puts the sash on himself, he pulls a still shocked Kumamori along, and everyone else watches in amazement as they run. Tajima drags Kumamori, not noticing that the sash says someone I like, while Kumamori is completely mesmerized by the moment. When they finally reach the finish line in second place, Tajima is stunned to see what the sash actually says. With Kumamori, catching her breath, tells Tajima he looked amazing and says this moment needs to be added to her list of romantic memories. Tajima is caught off guard but starts to get a bit annoyed. Meanwhile, Kumamori feels like everything is moving in slow motion. With her hands covering her blushing face, she says everything seems to sparkle when she's with him. Tajima pauses, looks at her, and asks what the world looks like through her eyes. He then takes her hand and asks her to show him how to be romantic. This totally surprises Kumamori, especially coming from the usually cold Tajima. and so, their paths begin to cross in the search for romance.